Awesome. Well, welcome to your Friday afternoon or almost evening cooking session. My name's Elizabeth. I run a health and wellness blog called Cheeky Coconuts. You can look me up on Instagram. And this is my co-pilot today, Matthew. And we run a whole lot of online programs together all around health, wellness, and detoxification and mindset. Do you want to say hi, Matt?
Hello, everyone. Today's about Liz.
So
I'm here as support.
Today we're going to be showing you how to use whole foods to make really nutrient-dense food with nothing in there that shouldn't be in our bodies. So I'm really big on, number one, getting as much nutrients into our bodies as possible, and number two, avoiding toxins. So what is a really good place to start with avoiding toxicity is our food supply. How do we do that really simply? Avoid packaged food. Make as much at home as you can. And it's really easy and nutritious to make things at home. You can make it super fun. And the cool thing is you can control exactly what goes into your food, which means that you can put extra things in that help support and rebalance your bodies. So I'm going to be running through a couple of things with you today, and I've got my amazing kitchen hands here from Froothie. So we're going to be starting with what I call my beauty granola. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but a lot of the granolas and the mueslis, even your natural mueslis on the market, my gosh, have you looked at the ingredients that are in those? You've got additives in there, and you almost will always have a seed oil, so a sunflower oil or a canola oil, and those oils are actually quite inflammatory to our body. So if we can start to avoid those, amazing. What's the best way to do that? Let's just make it ourselves. Okay, and it's really cheap, easy. Make it up in a massive batch and you have it there. So this is what I call my beauty granola, because we add extra things in there to make it all the more glorious to support our systems, because when our body has all the nutrients, we're naturally just going to look and feel a lot better, okay? So I've just got my high-speed blender here. So this is the 9200A. And I do a lot of things with my blender, but this is just one of those things. And I'm going to start by adding my oats in here. So I'm going to add 1.5 cups of oats. We're going to make a big batch today. Okay, and to that I'm going to add some dates. So I love medjool dates. Medjool dates and dates in general are actually full of nutrients, okay? So they've got manganese in there, they've got vitamins, and so it's not just, it does add that beautiful sweetness, and it does add a beautiful caramel flavour. Thanks, Matt. But it's not just adding normal sugar. We want all of the beautiful fibre in there as well. So I'm going to add 5 of those in. Very sticky. Just make sure you remove the pips, because the pips can become a problem if they go in the blender. They actually don't blend very well, even though this is a high-speed blender. Oh, okay. Awesome. Okay, so next I'm going to start to add in some of my glorious powders. So I love to make things colourful, because one, it just looks better, right? We eat with our eyes too. You're probably going to be, if something looks colourful and beautiful, even though it's healthy, you're more likely going to eat that thing, right? So I love to add beet powder to things to colour things. We want to avoid artificial colours. So a beautiful way to add a pink, and everything pink tastes good if you ask me, is to add some beet powder. So I'm going to add 2 big spoonfuls of my beets powder, maybe 2.5, because I like it pink. Okay, so beet powder, not only does it give it a beautiful colour, but beetroots are really, really good for your blood. Beetroots are really cleansing. Beetroot is also a way to give you more energy, so really, really great in the morning, and you're usually going to have your muesli in the morning, right? Then I'm going to add my favourite things to add in the world. So this is really what makes it a beauty granola, is adding these 3 ingredients here. So some of these are medicinal mushrooms and some of them are not, but they're from JUlaVIE Tremella. Let's add that first. So medicinal mushrooms are incredible, quite different to normal mushroom, like your button mushroom or your shiitake mushrooms. These are more, think of them more like a supplement, but it's a food source. Okay, so when we're getting nutrients, vitamins, mineral from actual food, more likely to be assimilated into your body. So these are extremely good for rebalancing the systems of your body, supporting your immune system, supporting your skin, supporting your brain function. And when you're adding these things and you're having a little bit of these every single day, that's where you get the magic, okay? So the reason I'm adding these three things, we've got tremella, we've got pearl powder. So pearl powder, it's the most glorious thing in the world, but this is known as the beauty powder. So this was used in ancient cultures such as the Chinese by the empresses to make them more beautiful, okay? This is Matt's favourite. And then we've got Schizandra. Again, extremely good for your skin, extremely good for your liver. When we're talking about having beautiful skin, supporting our livers is a really great place to start. So Schizandra is actually a berry. It's quite a tart berry. Things that are tart or a bit bitter in flavour are really good to support the liver. So get those things in. So we're just adding in extra things here just to boost that nutrient content. Now to that I'm going to add a pinch of salt. Now with your salt, don't just use a normal table salt. That has nothing that's good in your body. Our bodies actually do need salt, but it needs to be the right kind of salt. So I opt for a Celtic sea salt because it actually has minerals within it, okay? Your normal table salt actually does not contain any value at all for your body. Okay, so now I'm just going to give that a little bit of a blitz. I think it's on. So what we're looking to do here is we're just looking to turn this into a nice consistency. We don't want to over blend it because this is going to form the base for our muesli. So I'm just going to go medium. Ooh. There we go. And so that's all now nice and incorporated. And I'm going to add that into, Matt, if you want to open that one up for me. So in my glass jar here, I've just pre-added some coconut flakes. I've got some buckwheat. So buckwheat is actually really, it's an alkalizing grain, or it's a pseudo grain. Some people actually refer to it as a fruit as well. Okay, so it's really full of protein, it's really full of fiber, and I've got the chia seeds in there too. So chia seeds are full of your omegas. Yep, you go for it. So then you just mix that all up together, and that forms the basis of your muesli. So you could make this up in a big batch, and you can keep it either in the pantry out of direct sunlight or store it in the fridge as well if it's quite hot, because it does have the dates in there, and it tastes absolutely incredible. So a couple of things you can do with this, okay? This morning we actually had porridge with this, didn't we? Yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is actually really good. I'm like, of course it's really good. I made it. Okay. The other thing you can do with it is you can make a bircher. So you can see the beautiful pink color comes out. I've made a nut milk and I've just mixed this up, put it in the fridge, and it becomes a bircher. I'm going to show you the nut milk that I love in a moment. So you go. The other thing that I do with it is I make Bliss Balls. Okay, so to make these, I grab a cup of my base, and then I make my almond butter. How I make my almond butter, because I don't know about you, but $10, $12 for a little jar of almond butter, so expensive. You can make it yourself in your 9200A. This is powerful enough to turn your nuts into butter. So all I do is grab 1 to 2 cups of roasted almonds, pop it in there. It will first blend and it will turn into a flour, and after about a minute it goes into nut butter. You do not need to add any extra oil. I always try and avoid adding extra oils to things wherever possible. Okay, I prefer to get my fats from the whole sources, so things like your nuts and your seeds and your beautiful tahinis and that sort of thing. So 1 cup of this, 2 cups of your almond butter, and then 1 tablespoon of a liquid sweetener. My favorite liquid sweetener for the nutrient quality is your maple syrup, just a beautiful quality maple syrup. And then you get your Bliss Balls. You roll them into little balls and you've got little energy bites. So lots of options that you can do there with that granola. Now let's show you how to make my favorite nut milk. I'm actually going to show you how to make a hazelnut milk. So again, I opt to be dairy free for a number of different reasons, but the issue that I had when I was going to buy all my nut milks was that a lot of them have those seed oils added in there again, and they have a lot of preservatives in there. and they can be quite expensive, and you can make it really quick and easy at home. All right. So a lot of the objections that I get from people when they're like, oh, I don't have time to make my own nut milk, so I don't want to strain it, rah, rah, rah. You don't have to strain it with this blender, number one. Number two, if you're using the right nuts, so hazelnuts or cashews, you can get them to a really beautiful consistency. So you won't even notice any grit or anything in there at all. So I'm going to show you how to make my favorite hazelnut milk, and we're going to give you a taste test. Has anyone had hazelnut milk before here? It's delicious. Okay, so all you really need is this is a third to half a cup of nuts. So I'm just going to add my hazelnuts in there. And you need filtered water. So this is 500 mils, or maybe a little bit over. Add that in. So they're your non-negotiables to make your nut milk, right? What you should also add is just a little pinch of salt, and then sweeten it if you want to. So I like to add dates in here, but you could also add a liquid sweetener. It might be a little bit too much. You could also add something like your maple syrup into that. So I'm going to do dates. I'm just going to do 2 dates. Again, removing the pips. And dates, I find, just up the flavor profile of things because they have that beautiful caramel flavor. I'm going to add a tiny bit of vanilla. And I'm also going to add a little bit more of the tremella. So tremella actually doesn't really have too much of a flavour to it. So it's quite fine to add to things like a nut milk. You won't really notice it's in there, right? We're just sneaking in the extra goods. And we're going to blend that up. Do you want to blend that one for me? Blending dance. Quite good. So you want to blend it to just get those nuts to mix in with the water, and so it becomes beautiful and creamy. About a minute or so. It doesn't really take much longer than that. Does that look good, Matt? Cool. So Matt's going to walk around and give you a taste of that, but I'm going to steal some of it because I'm going to show you one of the things that I love to make with this. So obviously you can use this in your coffees. The hazelnut milk in a coffee is amazing. Making, any of your elixirs as well. So a beautiful cacao elixir. So Tea Elixir actually do these amazing latte range. They've just come out with it. I'm so excited because it has your cacao and it has your turmeric, or it has your beetroot base. Then they add the mushrooms in there for you. So you just get 1 to 2 teaspoons of this, add your milk or your liquid of choice, heat it up, and you're good to go. You've got a beautiful elixir latte for you. So what I'm going to add into this is I'm going to make an alkaline milk. So a nut milk, and I know this sounds funny, but we're talking about increasing nutrients here. So one of my favorite things to do is actually do cold pressed juices every morning, and cold pressed green juice with a nut milk. I know it sounds crazy, but if you're a juicer, go try that and come back to me and you'll thank me. It tastes beautiful. I'm not going to do that for you now, but that's one of the things I like to do. So I'm going to show you how I make just a quick alkalizing green milk. So I'm going to add half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of my, this is a matcha latte mix, and it's got a little bit of peppermint and lion's mane in there. So lion's mane is a medicinal mushroom again, and it's really great for brain function, your cognitive function. So I love to have this one in the morning. And I'm also going to add some greens powder. So I've recently discovered this Byron-inspired greens powder. It's Australian. I love supporting Australian brands. And I also love supporting brands that go above and beyond to make sure that their supply chains are really ethical and that they're sourcing organic and wildcrafted and local wherever possible. And that's exactly what Byron-inspired greens do. And I can't even tell you right now everything that is in here because there's so many glorious ingredients in there that we'd be here for a while if I was to tell you that, but it is really, really good. So go look these guys up if you're looking for a good greens powder. But any greens powder. And another thing you might like to do to add into this is some fresh baby spinach or some kale. I usually like to make my smoothies with fresh baby spinach. Oh. Did you like the hazelnut milk? Yeah? It's so good, isn't it? And it's so easy to do. It doesn't take any time at all. Where is my lid? Oh, this little guy. Hazelnut milk is like next level. Like, we all thought that we loved almond milk, and then you try hazelnut milk and it's like, wow, that's incredible. Okay. There we go. Thank you. And that's it. That's your beautiful alkaline nut. Do you guys want to try that? Yeah? Matt's hungry. He'll eat it. So I just love the flavour of hazelnut in everything, basically. So I make up my porridge with that in the morning as well if I'm doing this and I want it warm, or I add it to my bircher. Amazing. Okay, so another thing I love to make, I love everything in bowls and anything colourful. So smoothie bowls, I love. Acai is incredible. So acai is actually super, super chock full of antioxidants. Okay, so we need as many antioxidants as we can get into our bodies to help fight the free radicals that we're exposed to from all the toxicity that we are subjected to these days since the Industrial Revolution. So acai is super, super convenient. You can just buy little packets of it, have it in the freezer, chuck it into your blender, and you're good to go. So a little note on acai, because I look into all of these things before I source or recommend or use anything, is that a lot of acai is actually not organic and not fair trade. And with fair trade, with the Amazon rainforest, it is so incredibly important to source things ethically. So I look into all these things, and this is pretty much the only company, Amazon, that actually do a fair trade organic acai. So I'm just going to add 2 packets of my acai into my blender. Now you could use your nut milk in here too, right? Yum. Your hazelnut milk. You could, I'm just going to make a simple one today, but I'm just going to tell you ways that you can zhuzh it up. You can add some cacao with your hazelnut and your acai base, and that is an incredible healthy dessert that you have. You usually want to add something like a banana or mango or avocado also works really well. That just helps give it a really beautiful creamy consistency. I'm just going to add some banana today. Oh, you might have to actually. Do you want to blend that one for me? So when we're blending it like this, we don't have to add any liquid, and it will become more of like an ice cream consistency, but you could also water it down with, yeah, here we go. And there you go. You wanna eat that, don't you? So, and then I just grab my bowl. So quick and easy. A lot of people don't think to make acai bowls at home themselves. They think that's a treat that they get when they go out, but it's so quick and easy to make at home. Do you want to go add that in there? So yeah, you can buy packs of those from Amazon. Have packs that you can get. I just keep them in my freezer. Yeah, sure. You can fill it up. Cool. Beautiful. And then you top it. So I just grab berries. And I'm going to grab some of my granola that I've just made. And there you go. Now, other things that you could add to that are your medicinal mushrooms and your powders here too, just to up it a little bit further. So one of my favourite things about acai is, other than the antioxidant, is that it also actually has your omegas in it as well. Okay, so our omegas are really important for helping to balance our hormones, especially as women. All right, so just adding another bowl to my collection there. Okay, now the next thing I want to make is something savory. I love all things sweet and all things breakfast. I'm usually eating, something with fruit in it until at least the afternoon, but then I usually switch to savory at night time or at lunchtime. So I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite bowls, and it's really, really easy just to have fresh things on hand that don't have to be in a packet that you can just throw into a bowl. So, fresh spinach, fresh carrot, fresh cabbage. And if you have a really beautiful dressing, you can just bulk make it up and leave it in the fridge. So I'm going to show you one of my favorite dressings now. So the first thing I'm going to do, it's an orange tahini dressing, is I'm going to cold press some of my fresh oranges and fresh lemons here. So when you're making a dressing, it's really beautiful to have a little bit of a sweetness. So we got the sweetness from the orange with the acidity of the lemons in there too. So I'm just going to pop some orange into my little juicing bag here. So I know an objection about juicing that I often get is that it takes too much time and there's too much cleaning. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is to get fresh cold pressed juice using my JUlaVIE juicer here. And I can prep this ahead of time. So I've got these little mesh bags here. And what I like to do, if I know that I'm going to have a busy week, I'll just prep up a couple of these bags and leave them in the fridge. So that way in the morning, I can just grab my little bag. Just going to add a little bit more in here. Okay, so I'm going to come around the front. All right, so up the top here, we've got a little slot that opens up. And there's a silicone bag inside, and then you just fold that over like so, okay? And I pop it in. You've got two little tabs here, so that just goes in, and there's the little hooks. Oh, there is a cup in front, but thank you. I just hook those hooks on there, shut the little compartment, make sure I've got my cup under there, otherwise you end up with juice all over the bench, and I push the button. So easy. Okay? So I just have a couple of these prepped in my fridge, and then I'm good to go. So the beauty of this is that it's pretty much no mess to clean up. So what will happen is once I'm finished juicing here, I pull this out, I'm left with the pulp, and I can compost that or do whatever it is, and I can rinse these bags and use them again. So easy. Really quick. Doesn't take me any time to prep because I've already prepped it ahead of time, and I'm not spending time cleaning up. There we go. We've got, so I'm just going to pop, still going. That's fine, we'll just let that go into there. And then I've got my beautiful cold pressed juice. So cold pressed juicing is really important when we're talking about maintaining nutrient quality, okay? So cold pressed juice will not heat up the fruits or the vegetables that you're popping in, so you're maintaining vitamins, minerals and nutrients, which is what you want when we're talking about juices. Okay, so I've got my juice now. You want about a cup of juice. Matt's going to come around with the acai. So that's just a really simple acai, but you can always add extra things in there. All right, so when I'm making my my dressings and my sauces or smaller quantities, I like to switch to my smaller blender here. So this is the same technology and motor that's in my high-powered speed blender here, my 9200A, just in a smaller form. So I've got my little cup here. First thing I'm going to do is add in my juice. So my orange and my lemon. If you like it a little bit sweeter, add more orange. If you like it a little bit more tart, you add more lemon. If you wanted to up it a little bit further as well in terms of that sweetness, you could add a date or two. And sometimes I do that. Tahini. So for my fats, tahini is one of my favorite things to add in. So tahini is just ground up sesame seeds. I could actually make my own tahini by just popping sesame seeds into my blender or into my little Nutriforce here too. But I haven't done that today. Otherwise I'd be here forever just demonstrating all the things that you can make yourself. Because it is really cost effective. So I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of my tahini. And I'm going to add some cashews. So cashews just give it a really beautiful creamy texture. And I'm going to add my salt. So always in a dressing we want a salt in there. And I know salt used to get such a bad name, but when we're talking about the good quality salts with all the minerals, it's a lot different. Do you like the acai? It's yummy, isn't it? It's my favourite. No, all these things are my favourite. I can't pick. Okay, and where are we? What I love to add into this to boost up the nutrition is, it's down here, reishi. So reishi is incredibly good for helping stress, right? Helping your liver, helping you down-regulate at night as well to go to sleep. So I love to have this one at night time. So if it's a dressing I'm having at night, I love to add reishi. If I'm having one of my lattes at night, or one of my elixirs, reishi is really good. If I'm stressed when I wake up in the morning, because some days, I'm not going to lie, I wake up a little bit stressed with all the things to do, I'll actually add the reishi into my smoothie or my juice then. So I'm adding about half a teaspoon of the reishi, and then I'm going to add some garlic powder, but you could also add fresh garlic if you wanted to. So I did about half a teaspoon of the garlic powder. Pop my little lid on there, or the blending part. And have I got him on? Just make sure it's plugged in. There we go. Oh. Okay, and that's it. So you could make a big batch of this again, store it in a glass jar and put it in the fridge, and that's a beautiful dressing. It also makes a really nice dip if you wanted to add a little bit more cashews or something like that to make it a little bit thicker. So what I have here is one of my favorite bowls to make. I love rice, I love grains, but I like to up the quality of my whatever I'm eating. So I've just got some white rice here. I usually opt for white rice over brown rice. Used to be a big brown rice eater, but I actually found it was a little bit hard on my digestive system. The husk that is on brown rice has actually been removed by cultures for thousands of years because it can be a little bit of an irritant. So I just found white rice works better for me. And again, I love to eat with my eyes, and I love to add anything extra into my food wherever possible. So I literally just cooked my white rice here in my rice cooker. You could do it on the stove if that's how you prefer to do it. And I added a teaspoon of my turmeric mix here. So that's what gives it this beautiful yellow color, but turmeric is actually very, very good as an anti-inflammatory and an antioxidant. And this also has quadriceps in it as well, which is one of the medicinal mushrooms. So super easy. Put the rice on the stove, add a teaspoon of that in, and you're good to go, and you get this glorious coloured rice. And then I'm just throwing on my fresh veggies. Then I have a dressing that's always made in the fridge, and I just add that on. Another thing that I love to do is I just love to have chickpeas or something like that. I've cooked these up in my air fryer. I'm obsessed with the air fryer at the moment. Has anyone got an air fryer here? Oh my gosh. It means you don't have to use oil, and you get this crispy texture to your potatoes or your veggies or your chickpeas. I actually do my granola in the air fryer as well. It's next level. Okay, so I've just added, got some grated carrot, I've got it on a bed of greens, I've got some cabbage, added my chickpeas, and then what I love to garnish with is nigella seeds or black seeds. So these are really bitter in flavour, so anything bitter, as I said before, is really, really good for your liver. Let's see if we can shake some out that way. And there we go. How beautiful does that look? Right, and all these things can be made ahead of time. You can put all the good things in there. With your dressings, another thing, just be careful when you're buying dressings from the shops, because they'll almost always have artificial colours and sweeteners added in there, and preservatives too is another big one in your dressings. But I also actually like to avoid having just straight oils in my food, and I prefer to get my fats. So fats are really important. They're extremely important for your hormones. But if you can get it from a whole source, like your tahini or your nuts, I just find that a lot better. And so there you go. Matt, do you want to walk around and give people a little taste of that? Oh, if you guys want to come up and try the dressing, we've got some air-fried potatoes here that we've done, so some air-fried chips, and you can try the dressing. And you can come have a look and ask me any questions about any of the things that we have here. Cool. So thanks so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, and hopefully you can go home and make some nutrient-dense foods.